Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Pocket Trainer. It is Training Tip Tuesday. I want to take a special moment and welcome you even more so to the first inaugural YouTube channel post at Joshua Haig Performance and Fitness. I am starting this channel in the hopes to create basically a series of posts and a chain of resources for you as both trainers as well as athletes or a mom and dad who are looking to get into the gym, or anyone really, of common myths, tips, tricks, anything that may arise for you in the gym. I want to help answer those questions and just be a resource for you to look to. I am going to act as if you are my client. I'm going to treat you as such through the video. I'm going to talk to you as such. It's not going to be super in-depth science and me citing resources. I do that work so my clients can get a very general, laid-back answer. On my Instagram, jhagtrainhard, I talked last week on Training Tip Tuesday about the structural and postural analysis of the ankle module. We're doing a little series over there of basically causes, injuries, gait analysis, and then fixes for issues with the foot. So I, as a trainer and as well as an athlete, I was a football player for many years. I noticed that all my coaches, especially Coach Lauren Landau, actually was the one who really opened my eyes to it, showed me the differences in footwear. And as I took in what he had taught me, I then started to kind of regurgitate that to my clients and did more research on my own. And I can't tell you how important footwear is. With that being said, I want to rewind just a little bit and talk about who we are as humans. We functionally are primal. We are evolved from monkeys. We can agree on that. In turn, you don't see monkeys walking around with shoes, right? Their feet grip, they climb, they jump around, they do all these crazy things, but their feet are free. Now, we don't know what's going on and we don't analyze their posture and damage to knees or ligaments, things like that, but we do with the human body. And a lot of the time, we overlook the fact that the knee issues, the hip issues, the plantar fasciitis, the common degenerative things that are happening in the foot, the knee, the ankle, things like that, they come from an overlooked issue. And that issue is that we're covering up one of our most important areas, the foot. We have so many nerves and receptors in the foot that are meant to be interpreting the ground, that are meant to be feeling what's going on as we walk through. And in turn, those receptors signal up to the brain. Now, that relay happens every time you step, every time you run, every time you jump. And it's telling your body to do these micro movements of stability, of, oh, you got to react this way because I felt that the ground was starting to go like this. Or in turn, you're making a cut as an athlete and you go to pivot and all of a sudden there needs to be an immediate reaction from foot to brain, brain to foot. Well, what happens when we start to tape our ankles? What happens when we put on thick socks, double socks? I had blisters all through football. I double socked a lot. That's all that padding. Now we put on a cleat, a shoe. Think about it. All of that different layer after layer after layer after layer. It's starting to dull that receptor. What happens if I had you put on 3 or 4 different mittens or gloves, right? Are you going to be able to grip a rope to do a pull-up or a rope swing or some gym movement? No. You're not going to be able to bench press with 6 different gloves on. Well, why do you think you're going to be able to run or jump or do these crazy athletic movements with, really thick-soled shoes and ankles taped and all these things? Now, I'm not saying this arises questions. I'm not saying that there's not a place for a taped ankle, right? Or things like that. However, if we're looking at general training, if we're looking at things to do in the gym, we should revert to our primal anatomical structure. I'm going to take a look here at different shoes that I use and why, and some critique myself, some good, some bad. These are just, I want to arise questions in you. I want you to start to kind of ponder why you're doing what you're doing. Without any further ado, the shoes. So let's think about what we do in a gym. We either doing heavy lifting, straight lifting. We're doing some form of a cross training, like a CrossFit type deal, or we're going to run. Plyometrics, jumping, movement. Each athletic area requires different needs from the foot. We might need a more padded shoe to do a running movement. Little bit. I'm not saying a lot, I'm saying a little. But we need more padding in that because technically a run is a jump and it's a heavy duty load plyometrically on the foot. So the padding is there to help you. Where we're powerlifting, we're not jumping that much. We might do some explosive work later on, but when we're under the bar, we're squatting heavy, doing things like that, your feet aren't slamming into the ground. We use a powerlifting shoe. So each segment of fitness needs something different. So first things first, let's look at, I don't have a powerlifting shoe. I would use a Converse personally or a work boot. I also have very big feet. As you'll see in a second, I was not lucky enough to ever have powerlifting shoes. Now, they're going to be very flat. You've seen them. Well, probably have seen them. They're usually elevated in the heel. So this is a specific, almost like a cleat would be for a football player or a baseball player. This athletic shoe is for a power lifter. And that heel elevation is going to help derive power from the ground, as well as it's going to raise your heel up. This heel raise allows you to sink lower into your squat. It allows for an increased mobility range. So it has a specific purpose in the athletic realm, just like the toe cleat on a football player, where there's not one on a soccer cleat. I don't know if you ever knew that, but that's for cutting because a football player turns on a dime. Soccer doesn't really. Baseball doesn't. Everything is designed for a reason. Now, if we think about that powerlifting shoe, it's real flat soled. It's even wood sometimes. Why do you think that is, right? It's meant to be hard. It's meant for your foot to be able to grip that surface. As your foot grips that surface, as you interpret the ground, you're actually able to create power. And a lot of the times when you're doing big lifting movements and things like that, they actually teach you to grip the ground with your feet, to create that force and tension from the ground up. Well, we move on, right? I don't have a powerlifting shoe to show you. So I'm going to move on to what I would call a cross trainer, more of a CrossFit type shoe. I was going to say something, I chose not to. With the CrossFit trainer, the CrossFit style shoe, we're still looking at this very flat sole, right? We're looking for a limited range of motion. So I'm giving this a twisting motion. I don't have much range, right? I have a little bit of bend in the toe. So for a jumping motion, I have some bend here. But if we're doing a lateral movement or something plyometrically, it's very, very, very stable or rigid, right? We like that when we're doing jumping movements side to side. Downfall to this, right, is it's going to be very limiting to your motion. Now, remember, we're reverting to our primal concepts. I'm trying to fix injuries that are in your foot. I want that to be at your forefront. So when we're analyzing the shoe, I want you to be thinking to yourself, what do I use this for? Why am I doing this? If you have this shoe and you say you want to go run distance, we got to talk. We're using the wrong tool for the wrong job, right? So this is going to be great for lifting. We can still, it's not too thick of that was the wrong view. Not too thick of a sole, right? We can grip the ground, we're strong in it, but it still has some play for a box jump or a lateral ice skater lunger movement, right? Next, we're going to go to more of a running shoe. Now I want you to take a look at the sole, right? Look how thick that is. Comparatively, right? Much thinner, right? I know there's some cloth at the top, but overall, this is a much thicker surface. Why do we think that is? What am I doing? Am I lifting or am I running? This is meant for quick movements, right? Over time. It's also meant to help you cushion from the ground. So I'm a big dude, right? I run, I'm heavy. It's meant to help protect my knees and ankles. Now, it takes away from the amount of stimuli that my foot is receiving, sending to the brain. That's a big key. So a lot of the times we'll have a lot of ankle rolling movements or things that happen like this because the foot is trying to interpret the ground and misreads. So you'll be running and all of a sudden you ever get that buckle? The foot didn't know what was going on as you were going through your gait. That a lot of the time stems from, now assuming you're not clumsy, assuming you're not tripping as you're running down the street, that a lot of the time stems from the shoe, right? We have a lot more range of motion laterally, as well as the bend, right? Where I couldn't twist the last shoe, this is very twisty. That twisting motion allows us, as we go through our gait, and then we twist our ankle. Finally, we're going to look at more of a designer type shoe. I'm not saying that I'm a fashionista, but a lot of the times shoe wear and the fitness industry has gotten away from what you're doing versus what you look like doing it. I chose one of the shoes that I love. I love the shoe. I wear it all the time. However, this would be considered a fitness fashion shoe. I want you to watch how much roll, see all that twist, as well as bend, right? It's also thin-soled. So completely contradictory to what I just talked about. It's thin, so you would think I would be wanting to power lift in it, or I would want to be doing more weight room stuff, but it has all that twist and roll. There's no rigidity. So how's it going to support my ankle or my foot? Now, I did a quick overview of that to talk about what this does to the foot. So we talked on Instagram, and if not, JHEG Train Hard, bounce over there. The last Training Tip Tuesday, we talked about that talus and navicular bone and how there's a gliding action that happens. A lot of the time as we're going through, the glide is happening naturally as the foot pivots along. Well, let's just say I'm running and all of a sudden I roll my ankle because I'm in improper shoe or I'm in improper footwear. Well, all of a sudden that buckles. Now the muscles, tendons, and ligaments are weakened, right? The ankle is weak, so the knee starts to create an issue because it's trying to be mobile where the ankle is not, right? So the dots start to connect, and this can go all the way up through the hip and into the lower back. A lot of the times, I deal a lot with back patients or people who have back issues. The first thing we do is strengthen their foot or work on any issues that they may have, and then we look at their footwear. First things first. Then we address posture, how they're standing, how they're manipulating their core, their pelvic tilt. If I address those two things, 90% of the time, my patients with back pain are gone. Footwear, if you always come back to, is it negating my reception of the ground? And what am I doing in this shoe? Why am I here? Why am I using this? Am I using a basketball shoe to go play soccer? Am I using a cross-training shoe or a CrossFit shoe to go run distance? Issues, right? So we want to just think about, if you take anything away from this video, we need to think about choosing the right shoe for the exercise and always getting back to our primal movements, our primal instinct. I'm going to at one point go through kind of ways at the end of this series. So this was part 2. I'm going to go through next gait analysis. So I'm going to do a little bit of walking stuff in the gym, and I'm going to show you how to analyze if you're a trainer, your client, if you're the person watching this as just a client, you can do it for yourself. I'm going to show you how to actually watch for the foot and see what it's telling you. See how their weight distribution goes through the foot, what that tells you. And then in part 4, I'm going to tell you how to fix it. We're going to do a couple strengthening exercises, and I'll show you my quickest solutions. There's no quick solution for anything. It takes time, but I'll say my biggest bang for the buck solutions on how to fix your foot problem. I can't thank you enough for joining me for this little segment. Like I said, I know there are bits and breaks and little pieces in between, but I wanted to talk to you, and I'm going to try and do it every time as if you were my client. Whether I'm in the gym, on the beach, wherever I film these, I want you to feel as if you're part of the family. I want to help you as much as I can. I want to have you ask questions. So down below, make sure first off, like and subscribe. It helps me get out there and helps me be seen, but also ask questions. Ask as many as you can. Do you think this shoe is right for me? Shoot it at me. I'll talk to you about it, what you're doing and why. If you have any concerns, if you're a trainer and you want to, Josh, what you said is totally wrong. Teach me. Show me why I'm wrong. I would love to hear from you. Other than that, happy Training Tip Tuesday again, guys. Check out my Instagram, JHEG Train Hard, or check out my Facebook page, Joshua Haig Personal Training, for all my latest tips and videos. Until next time, guys, have a great day.